Hi, everybody, and welcome to Art Club. So last month we discussed Henri Matisse, and we talked about collages and how Matisse would draw with scissors. And so I was excited about that because, as you know, I love art, but I'm not a really good drawer. So um, the challenge for last month was to make a collage or draw with scissors and do, if you need an idea for a subject, to do something that you were thankful for, because now it's November, Thanksgiving's coming up. So we were thinking about things that we were grateful for. So I went ahead and I did make a Matisse-esque project here, a collage. And so the thing that I am thankful for is my family. So here is my picture. So this is my mom, and she likes flowers, and my dad, who really likes math and numbers, so I gave him some shapes, and my younger brother, who is much bigger than me now, but he loves diving. He likes to scuba dive, so I gave him some water. And then me, I love reading and I love writing, so I gave myself some letters, and that little tan blur there is my dog, my pug, and he has a curly tail, so that's why he's got the little curly cue there. So yeah, this is my picture of things that I'm thankful for, which is my family. And I did it like Matisse. It's very, if you remember from last month, we talked about his picture, the snail, and it's just like a round thing with a bunch of colors, so very abstract. But it's always important to think about things that we're thankful for. And I think now especially, I know like this year, I probably won't be seeing my brother for Thanksgiving, and I think it's the first Thanksgiving we've ever not been together. So I know a lot of you are probably going through similar things. The holidays might look a little different this year, and it's okay to be sad about that. It's okay to be a little disappointed and sad and miss the people that we're used to spending time with. That's okay. But during all of it, it's important, not just in November and December, but all the time, to think about the things that we are thankful for too. So as always, I am very thankful for all of you, and I'm thankful to you for watching and for hanging out with us and for the nice things that you say to us and the encouragement that we get from you here at the library. It means a lot to us. So from me to you, thank you very, very much. So I was trying to think about who we could talk about for December. And I was thinking about, artists who do winter scenes. And there was one artist who just kept popping up in my mind and wouldn't leave me alone. And so I decided we're going to go with it. So the artist that we are going to be talking about this month is Bob Ross. So you may know about Bob Ross. You may have seen Bob Ross, or maybe you've watched his TV show. Maybe you've seen him on TV or even on Netflix. He's been pretty popular on the internet, actually, especially this year, and we're going to talk about that. But so Bob Ross is more what you would call a pop artist. Maybe not, people think of like fine art and museums and stuff. Bob Ross has only just recently kind of reached that point. Before that, he was mostly famous for being on TV, but we're going to learn about Bob Ross this month. So let's dive into that. So, oh, come back one more. There we go. So Bob Ross was actually born in Florida. He was born in 1942 in Daytona Beach, and he grew up right here in Orlando. So that's pretty cool, right? He joined the Air Force when he was 18 years old, and he spent a lot of his time stationed in Alaska. And like most Floridians, that was the first time that he saw snow and mountains. So how many of you guys living in Florida have ever seen snow before? Yeah, I've only seen it 2 times. So yeah, I mean, we don't get to see a whole lot of it here unless you travel, and we certainly don't really have mountains. But he loved them so much when he saw them that he started to paint them on his breaks throughout the day. And his job in the Air Force, he was a sergeant, and so he had to give commands, and that job required him to yell a lot. And so when he left the service, he said that he was done raising his voice, and he was very famous for having a really calming, soothing, gentle voice. And a lot of people were surprised to learn that Bob Ross was actually in the military and used to have to like bark out commands. But when he was done, he said he was done with that. So painting. He actually started painting after attending an art class at the Anchorage USO Club. And a USO Club is where soldiers and their families can go to do things like, learn how to paint or maybe take a dance class, take different classes, kind of things for entertainment and enrichment, while they're being stationed in a certain place. So Ross discovered a TV show called The Magic of Oil Painting, which was hosted by a German painter called Bill Alexander. And Alexander used a technique called wet on wet. He often claimed that he invented it, but he didn't. People have been using wet on wet for ages. It actually originated in the 16th century and was known then as alla prima, which is Italian for first attempt. So basically what that means is that you get the surface you're going to paint completely wet. Like instead of using a dry canvas or a dry piece of paper, you get it wet first, and then you add paint to it, and then it allows you to work much quicker. Everything kind of blends together much quicker because it's all wet already. And so that was what Bill Alexander kind of became famous for. And he had a TV show, and that's how Bob Ross learned, was by watching that TV show. And so he also used that wet on wet method and technique when he was painting. He started selling landscape paintings that he would do on gold pans, on gold mining pans in Alaska. So I included a picture there so you can see. So that's a pan that you would use to mine for gold in the mountains, in Alaska. And he would paint landscapes on them and sell them. Eventually, Bob Ross started making more money selling paintings than he was at the military, so he retired and took up painting full time. So the thing that he is most famous for is The Joy of Painting, and that's the name of his TV show. So he started his TV show on PBS, and it ran for 31 seasons. So that's a long time that he did The Joy of Painting. He would walk his viewers through how to paint different landscapes or a different picture through every episode. And he became really known for has this really soothing voice, and he was very gentle in the way that he spoke to his viewers, and he would also offer a lot of encouragement. Bob Ross's whole mission was just to get people to paint, to get them to try it if they had never tried it before, and just to have fun with it. As he painted, he added comments describing happy little clouds and happy little trees, and that's kind of what he became known for. If you've heard of Bob Ross, that might be something that you've heard about him. He also loved animals. He was a big animal lover and always rescued animals his whole life. Even when he was a kid, he said he would bring home, hurt or sick animals and nurse them back to health. And he continued to do that even as an adult. And so sometimes on his show, he would bring in some of his rescue animals and share them with the viewers. And that included squirrels, raccoons, lots of birds, and even a baby deer one time. So Ross, for his show, would create 3 versions of each painting. So the first one he would make the painting and then set it off to the side of the camera and off to the side of his canvas so he could use it as a reference while he did the second painting, which he did live on TV. That's the one that we see on his show. And then he would do a third version, which would be a lot more detailed, and he included that for his instruction books so that if you didn't catch the TV show, you could get the book and learn kind of step by step how to recreate his paintings. So again, another thing that he became famous for was just the sweet things that he would say during his show. So, he would say, "We have no limits to our world. We're only limited by our imagination." One of his most famous quotes is, "We don't make mistakes. We just have happy accidents." And he said, "Look around. Look at what we have. Beauty is everywhere. You only have to look to see it. And it's so important to do something every day that will make you happy." So a lot of people started to watch because they were interested in painting, but they stayed because Bob Ross was just such a sweet and gentle and encouraging person. And even if they weren't painting, they loved kind of feeling like they had just had a nice conversation with just a really nice, friendly guy. And I think that's why Bob Ross is still so popular. So in 1994, Bob Ross passed away from complications from cancer, and he is actually buried in Gotha, Florida, which is quite close to here, if you ever wanted to go see that or if you're in that area. Bob Ross has remained popular ever since. I think he's been on TV pretty much the entire time since he passed away, which was 25 years ago now, so he's been on for quite a long time. He's popular because he made painting accessible, which means that he made everybody feel like they could paint. You didn't have to go to art school or, learn from a great master or teacher. You could anybody could paint. If you just dragged out your paints and painted along with him, he was going to show you how. And even if it didn't turn out good, he was always encouraging, always, you don't make mistakes, just happy accidents. Today, he's super popular still. You can buy Bob Ross board games, t-shirts, even a Chia pet of Bob Ross with his famous hair, which actually, here's a fun tidbit for you. Bob Ross permed his hair into that puffy, curly kind of afro look that he had. And he did that at first just because it was part of his logo, his image, and he never really liked his hair that way, but he decided to keep it because it's kind of what he became known for. So kind of interesting. Even though Bob Ross has been gone 25 years, his show had a resurgence of popularity this year in 2020 because of the COVID-19 lockdowns. A lot of people were bored on lockdown and were like, you know what, we're going to watch Bob Ross and maybe try painting. Or the other thing is a lot of people just watched it to kind of like calm down and relax and just, like I say, have that soothing, relaxing experience of watching Bob Ross paint. And if you've never seen one of Bob Ross's shows, they are available on Netflix and also on YouTube, and they run half an hour. So, they're not super long. I'm actually going to link in the description here his like YouTube channel so you can go and watch some. They're really fun to watch. It's almost magical to watch because when he starts painting, it just looks like a bunch of colors on the canvas, and you're like, I don't really, like, that's not a mountain, that's just a bunch of paint. But as he goes along, more and more like trees start happening, and it starts looking more and more like a nature scene. So it's kind of cool to watch him paint, even if you don't paint along with. So I wanted to show you a few of his paintings. And again, he did paint a lot of snow and a lot of mountains and a lot of winter scenes because he spent so much time living in Alaska, but also he was from here. And as you know, we don't get stuff that looks like this picture here. So he just enjoyed painting it. So I'm going to go ahead and close myself down and we will look at some of his pictures. So he did do a lot of winter scenes, very, very few people. He usually would paint nature. Occasionally he would include like a building, but it was usually like an abandoned cabin, not like, houses with people in them. And he did paint a lot of trees, and he has a really neat method of teaching you how to paint trees and how to do the snow on those mountains. So they're really calming kind of pictures to look at as well. The other thing, too, that's interesting is that Bob Ross used a lot of colors. And I know when you think about painting snow or doing snow scenes, you think, well, it's white, or gray. How exciting could that be? But he did use a lot of colors, even though he was doing these kind of stark, empty nature scenes during the winter. This one has a lot of color, a lot of pink and purple, that bright yellow sun. Even though it is still icy and snowy, it's got a lot of really fun colors. So you don't have to be afraid to use color, even if you are painting something like snow. Like, I would never have thought, oh, I'm going to paint snow, let me get some pink paint. But Bob Ross did, and he would show you how to do a picture like this on his show so that you could kind of follow along and paint along with him. And this one is my favorite. One time, a fan told Bob Ross, Bob, I could never paint because I'm colorblind. All I can see is gray. So Bob Ross did an entire episode of The Joy of Painting where he painted this picture using only black, white, and gray. And you can see, even though it's only a few colors, he mixed them up together in such a way that it looks like there's a lot of different things happening here, a lot of different colors. Maybe not as bright, as like this one, but there's still some color happening here. And it just goes to show that Bob Ross believed anybody could paint, no matter who they were, no matter if they'd never painted before or if they were an expert painter. He encouraged everybody to try and paint. All right, guys, so now it is your turn. So for this month's art club, what I was thinking would be fun is if you followed along to a Bob Ross video and did a painting, and you could show us kind of what it looked like or how it turned out. There doesn't have to be a winter scene, but I thought coming into December with it being, winter time, that might be kind of fun to try. The other thing too with following a Bob Ross is that you don't have to have oil paints. That's what he uses and that's what he'll encourage you to use, but I think it would be fun to follow a Bob Ross, but do it with whatever you have. If you have watercolors, that might be be kind of fun. Or if you have crayons, you could try it with crayons. I think I might do that actually. I might try and draw with like oil pastels, maybe follow a Bob Ross, but like with oil pastels, just for something different, just to try something fun. Um, and yeah, if you do try it with paint, remember to get your canvas wet first. He would always kind of brush that canvas with a white base, a white paint first, so that way it was wet, and that's what allowed him to work so quickly to finish the painting in 30 minutes. So keep that in mind if you do paint. But if you decide to do something different, I would love to see it. As always, you can share, if you're watching this on Facebook, you could share the pictures of your art projects in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could post it on your social media and tag us at Maitland PL, and we will see it, and maybe I could then share it in next month's video if that's okay with you. If you share the picture, I could then share it with other people, and we can kind of share our artwork that way. Because I would love to see what you're working on, and I think other people would too. We kind of, encourage each other and inspire each other. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned maybe something about Bob Ross that you didn't know before. Grab out your oil paints, grab out whatever paints you have, whatever colors you have, and make something fun this month. And I wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time. Bye.